What is up, my friends, and welcome to halftime here in Ames, the Cyclone Fanatic halftime show. We are presented, as always, by our friends at Iowa Pork and the Iowa Pork producers. I have been honored to promote that great association for so many years here on Cyclone Fanatic, and really good people who mean a lot to me. So thank you to them for continuing to bring us all your great Cyclone football coverage here. It's Cyclone Fanatic. It's halftime. Iowa State leads Baylor 19-14. And I'm going to tell you all about it with my thoughts on what was really a wild first half. We'll start off with the final thing that we all saw that was maybe the worst play that we've seen Rocco Beck ever make in a Cyclone uniform. I hope he was trying to throw it out of bounds on that final play that was an interception. I don't know if he was. I hope that's what it was, and he just didn't have enough zip on it because that was really a terrible decision. Iowa State, at the worst-case scenario, could have got a field goal and ends up with just a bad pick. You're still only up 5. Baylor gets the ball to start the second half. But let's talk big picture here, as Iowa State's already beat-up defense is even more depleted right now, and that's going to tell the story for the second half. So, your situation. Darian Porter didn't play. He's out with an ankle. J.R. Singleton goes out, but he's come back in, so that's good. It looked like he got it. We think we saw him get a knee brace put on. He's back. Dominic Orange appears to be out for the rest of the game. Miles Purchase went out, but he's back in. And Cale Brazina out at linebacker, which is a major loss if you've been watching this football team. So what do you do from here? This doesn't happen very often when you are as into the Iowa State football program as I am, where I have to look up who the hell is out on the field. And again, that doesn't happen. Usually I know who these guys are. I know their backgrounds. That is going on specifically at the linebacker position. And we saw it with John Haycock in that second quarter, where really ratcheted up the pressure. And I think they're going to have to keep doing that here in the second half. Is Baylor's quarterback Robertson started off really hot, and then Iowa State started bringing that pressure, and they have really, kind of chilled him out there in the second half, where Baylor scored on its first 2 possessions, and they haven't gotten in the end zone since. So that's good. Here's the deal. I don't think I trust that Iowa State's defense is going to be able to, really keep this up. Good thing is if you stay ahead, I love Iowa State's secondary. Even without Porter, Iowa State's secondary is one of the best 10 probably in college football. They've got to manufacture ways to put pressure on this quarterback, though, early in that first quarter. And we see this with Haycock's defenses, despite the personnel, where he gets more aggressive as the game goes on. And you hope that's the case, and you hope that Iowa State offensively can just out-talent Baylor. But, again, I'm not going to hold my breath with all these injuries that have added up. I mean, you're down to, like, 3rd and 4th string guys playing at linebacker right now. One of you guys in the chat, whatever happened to Kennard Snyder, he went out against Arkansas State. I don't think we've seen him since. So, they are really banged up. And so here's the deal. What's the situation? How are you going to win this football game, Chris? Because that's what good teams do, even when the chips are down. And this offense is going to have to keep rolling. Other than that terrible play by Rocco to end the half. Should have just taken the sack, kicked a field goal. You got a 2-possession lead. I guess technically it would have been a 1-possession, but you're up by 8. They're playing pretty well on offense, really. I mean, they moved the football, just haven't been able to get the points out of it. 8 yards per play right now, 15.9 yards per completion. You're averaging 6.2 yards on the ground. I don't know if 24 Sama is going to be back in this football game. He's just clearly being outplayed by Jackson right now on the ground as far as Iowa State goes. And I just the running game, I don't know. It a little bit skewed there with a 51-yard run by Jackson. So I'm thinking that we're going to see more of 12 probably in the second half. What I really want to see more of is you're seeing success going to Higgins, right? 5 catches, 61 yards, a lot of downfield threats here with Iowa State. And, Bramer out there across the middle is kind of a cheat code for you. And that area looks to really be open tonight. That area of the field with Higgins, and really love the play call. Um, it was that last possession before the interception where he throws it downfield and kind of just drew the pass interference, right? And that was like I'm an old Vikings fan. That reminded me of watching what the Vikings would do with Randy Moss all the time, back in the late 90s, where you just chuck it up and just let him get under it, and you better try and stop him. And that's kind of what that reminded me of. And Iowa State just has so many of those threats with this offense, but you just got to be smart. And Rocco Beck is, by all means, a very good quarterback. We've seen him play high-level football even in this very game. But, mistakes like that, it could cost you the football game. That interception there could cost Iowa State the football game. Very, very much could. Hopefully not. But you just can't be doing that stuff. If this defense, I think, is as tattered as it is. And I'm not counting them out. Got a really good coordinator. Secondary is still, for the most part, intact. You can live without Orange out there. It's going to be tough, much tougher. He's your best guy at that spot, but at least Singleton's back, right? If those guys are both out, then you're really starting to sweat. But they have depth on the defensive line. But I think this is going to come down to the offense, right? And they got to be smart. They can't afford doing stuff like that when the defense is in the position that it is. Do want to put a shout out to special teams. Hell of a play out there to get the block punt for a touchdown. And when you are struggling in one aspect of the game, you do stuff like that. And that, right, like that makes up for a lot when you can get a special teams touchdown. So shout out to that Iowa State special teams unit. My main man, Miles Minizun, with the block punt there that goes back for 6 for the good guys. Want to thank our friends over at Central States Roofing. Our guys over at Central States Roofing for sponsoring halftime here, along with our friends from the Iowa Pork Producers. Central States Roofing, a proud sponsor of CycloneFanatic.com. They have been with us for a couple years now. Really good guys. Remember them for all of your commercial roofing needs here in Central Iowa. All right, a couple other notes that I have down for you. We handled the injuries. We handled how, the defensive pressure is really going to be Iowa State's, solution here as far as the defense goes. And, there's no need to panic. Baylor came out. We were wondering, what are you going to get from Baylor, right? They haven't quit on Aranda. Kind of thought this would be the case. If you listen to me and Bloom on Wednesday, it's kind of where we were leaning. Teams that quit don't get down 21-0 like they did to BYU last week, and then make it such a good game towards the stretch. They should have beat Colorado. They lose on a Hail Mary. Clearly, there's some talent out here, and they're playing for their head coach. But having said that, you hope the hope here is that if Iowa State's as good as we think that this team could be, they kind of outlast Baylor, and they use the home field advantage to their advantage. And by the way, this crowd is incredible tonight. If you guys are watching at home, the whiteout, it looks awesome. This is the best Iowa State fans have ever responded to anything like this since I've seen. So really good job to Iowa State marketing and all the fans for following along and doing all that good stuff. That's pretty much my take. I'm putting a lot of pressure on the offense here. I think Baylor gets the ball to start the second half. Love to see Iowa State get a stop, go down there and put them down 2 scores, because then that forces Baylor to have to put the ball in the air more, right? We want them to push, and that's where you can start to get some turnovers. And clearly this is a Baylor team. What we know about their coordinator, they want to pass. They 25 pass attempts, 13 runs in that half of football. They want to put it in the air. I don't think they can run against Iowa State, but if you get them down 2 scores, I like Iowa State's chances against most teams if you can get them down 2 scores, because then they're throwing, and that secondary can kind of do its work. So there you go. Get out, get up to a 2-score lead, and kind of like where Iowa State's going here. But that, you had a missed field goal, had a missed PAT. You had the bad interception, um, a couple PIs out there. It was just not a crisp first quarter for sure. Not a crisp half for Iowa State, where it's like if you would lose this one, man, depending on how it all goes, but you're not going to feel good about it with that opportunity that you blew at the end of the first half. You really could have put this game in a tough spot for Baylor. Couldn't do it. Nonetheless, having said all that, Iowa State leads by 5 at halftime, which is I would have taken that in a heartbeat. Would have taken that in a heartbeat if you had told me that at the end of the first quarter. So, all right, we'll talk to you guys right after the game. I'll be coming on here live right after the game, signing off from the Wild Rose Casino Studios. We are presented, as always, by our friends at the Iowa Pork Producers. Go off, get you some pork ribs for your Sunday afternoon at a Fairway near you. My name is Chris Williams. I'll be back after the game. Later.